call this meeting of the Ashland City Budget Committee to order. Kelly, if you call the roll, please.
Mayor.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Atkins.
Here.
Binkley. Here. Walker. Here. Jackson. Kerrigan.
Here. So, all present except for Mr. Jackson. This time I'd entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I have a motion and proper second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Things approval for the last month's meetings, if you've had time to look over it.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor for approval of last month's meeting, say aye. Have nothing under old business. We'll move ahead to new business. That's the City Hall, Fire Hall, construction budget. Kelly, if you would, you wanna give us some highlights on that?
Yes, Mayor. Rick Lane's here tonight to kind of talk about, what a payment would be, per $1 million for a bond payment and the current rates and, you know, what the market's looking like. We wanted to go ahead and start this discussion since we closed on the property for City Hall and, try to get a budget going for Josh Wright so that he can start the design phase and, we just have a better idea. We wanna make sure that council can, commit to a figure for those projects. I will go ahead and pull up this year's certified tax rate. What the property assessor's office came back with was this $170 million assessment total, and that's the personal property and all the different categories there. So that's the total, and that's what gave us our certified tax rate of the 50 cents this year. They also have in this form that there are several different projects that were subtracted out. Some of it's this new construction right here, the 762,304, and then the tangible and personal property tax. First year, the 2.6 million. So that's a total of 3.3 that's gonna wind up being added back into those assessed values. So I wanted to show you that first because that's something that doesn't count for the first year because it's not something that'll be recorded this year, it'll be recorded next year. So we'll have some money added into that assessed value next year. I'm also gonna pull up this chart, which this year we had 170 million in assessed value. The net value of a penny, so every penny of property tax generates $17,000. Now, the net value, because we only collect anywhere from 94 to 96% depending on the year, I went ahead and did it at 94 cents. This is our anticipated collection for this year, the $804,912.60. Now, the good thing about our budget is we don't commit our pennies to anything. We don't have a penny towards this and penny towards that, and that's a lot of how the county does their budget. And it just makes it a little more complicated when projects are completed to try to take that penny away and move it somewhere else in your budget. So what I've done down here, because we were originally gonna set the rate at 62 cents this year, and I wanted you to see what it would be like, and I can change this number, I can change it to 55 cents or whatever. But if once that add-in comes in, that $3 million add-in, and the assessment goes up to this the next year, our penny will be worth $17,337.08 at a 55-cent tax rate, which would be $91,000 more a year. So I'm showing you this because Your property tax is really the only thing that we can control. We can project revenues, we can hope for increases in sales tax and increases in other things that are state shared revenues, but we really can't guarantee those things. So when we project out our budget and we are trying to cover our expenses, this is the only way that we can cover our expenses. Now, in the past, we've never had debt in our general fund, so that's never been an issue before. So if we start issuing debt, we have to know ahead of time, you might have to raise taxes in the budget to cover your payment for whatever debt we get into. So I wanted to just explain that on the front end so that you all can understand that. Rick Delaney can get up whenever you're ready and he can talk about what a payment would be per $1 million and over how much time, and we can kind of dive a little further into that. But we wanted to go ahead tonight and talk about what our budget would be for these projects so that we know ahead of time what we're getting into, and we don't have to go back and cut later on, because once Josh makes our design, we don't want to have to go back and reconfigure everything. If that makes sense.
Okay. Y'all have any questions? Rick, do you want to come up and give us some idea of where we need to proceed? Give us your thoughts and opinions.
I'm Rick Delaney from Raymond James in Nashville. We're serving as your municipal advisor, financial advisor for these projects for the wastewater treatment facility. I don't know really where to begin. I guess we've got to find an edge here for the rip the cover off of it and dig into it. I can share with you, just for planning purposes, a little presentation that we put together, sort of a sequel to a meeting Mayor Kelly and others had with us and with the rural development people several weeks ago. We talked about looking at rural development as a source for the city hall and fire department, as well as sort of conventional financing. The first two pages of that little presentation show you sort of what that looks like right now. Currently, the rural development rate is 3.5%. We expect that rate to drop as a result of trends in the marketplace to perhaps as low as 3.25%, maybe slightly lower than that. As you can see, their financing is for 40 years. Pretty flexible, pretty attractive in many ways, but in some cases, 40 years is a long time for a facility. Somewhere over the life of the city hall, and the fire station, the fire building, you're going to have some renovations that are necessary. I believe that's the architects and engineers to sort of share with that, but you sort of have life cycle replacement that comes up, roofs, HVACs, and other things, just normal wear and tear over the lives. So you have to sort of plan that in. The third column over there is where we see things in the current marketplace with the 30-year traditional financing, leveraging your AA3 credit rating. As you can see there, this is based on $6.5 million, a little less than $330,000 a year over 30 years. We could turn right around and say, as part of this, we also talked about, we met several weeks ago, also the fire apparatus as being part of the, not necessarily part of the building, but also maybe being part of the overall financing. We would probably shorten that up, that right, Chief, as far as the length of that transaction, so we more carefully match the useful life of that piece of apparatus and going forward. Looking at page, well, back to RDA for just a second. They're really, as far as City Hall and the fire department building is concerned, I believe the takeaway was it was pretty hard to get any loan forgiveness on those kinds of programs because they had a very small amount of money to share among 16, 17 counties, I believe. That's fair. So Unlike the wastewater treatment plant where we think that the RDA is gonna be able to forgive or provide forgiveness for about 20% of that overall debt associated with rural development wastewater treatment plants at a very low rate, much lower than the 350 that's currently in place, or even lower than that. I think it's 275 in this one's quoted. Obviously, 40-year financing for a facility like that that has probably useful life, again, I'm for the engineers and architects, but I know in practice that it's at least 40 years, and probably longer than that as far as what you'll be using that facility for. May add on to it at some point, but somebody might fall down the road, but as the community grows. Going to the second page there, you can sort of see the estimated cost per year per $1 million. We provided Kelly a little tool to use on the computer where you can come up with this, the amount that you're trying to raise, and sort of drop in a number, the amortization period, sort of generate what the payment's going to be. Again, that's sort of a quick and dirty tool, sort of gives you an idea from a planning purpose where you can go with all of this going forward. The rest of this presentation, really just some flip charts about where we are with interest cost in today's market. We are in a period rivaling where we were in spring of 2016, which we hit 50-year lows as far as borrowing costs. We're right back there again, folks. And I was telling the mayor earlier and others that if you've got to borrow money, this is the time to do it. If you've got to refinance your house, this is the time to do it. If you're going to build a house, this is the time to do it. How long it's going to last, anybody's guess. The other side of that is just a great time to borrow money if you have to. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but once the project's scoped out, I think we're going to be at a very favorable interest rate environment. I'll stop there and entertain questions, or just sit down and listen to the discussion and be available as a resource, whatever you'd like me to do.
Council, have any questions for Rick? I think we'll get to talking this much money and everybody just wants to put a zipper on.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
You wanna come up and give us a presentation? Do you have any pictures, diagrams, updates?
Not since we met the last time. I'll come up. I'm Josh Wright. I'm your architect. Thank y'all for having me back. Primarily the reason Kelly and Mayor and I wanted to kind of meet with y'all tonight was it works best on the front end if we have a budget to work towards for the city hall and the fire station. And when we did the feasibility study, we kind of gave y'all a budget as far as the building cost. That did not include the site cost, but Jason kind of gave us sort of a ballpark figure on the site cost. We've had some discussions about construction type. How could we do this to keep the cost per square foot at a manageable level? And we feel like that we can do that. We just basically, since our last meeting when we showed you all the floor plan for City Hall and the floor plan for Fire Station, just need to know if that's the direction we need to go. And if there's anything that we need to cut or we can cut out of either one of those floor plans, now would be a good time to discuss it. So that's kind of where we're at tonight. Just to let y'all know, I've got a meeting scheduled with Chief Walker next week to get moving on the fire station design, and met with Kelly and Mayor last week or the week before, and we kind of discussed some cost saving strategies, but it really comes down to what services we want to keep providing, so, and make sure we have space for all that. So that's where I'm at. I'm here to listen and take notes and see where we need to go with the budget. See how much money you'll let me spend.
You're a lot farther along with the fire department than you are anything
Yes, sir.
So when you think it'll be, you'll get some figures for the new fire hall?
I think we can, after we meet next week with Chief No and Chief Walker, and we get the floor plan narrowed down, Jason Reynolds is our civil engineer, and he's chomping at the bit, wanting the revised floor plan so he can start his site work. So as soon as we get a chance to look at the floor plan and finalize the floor plan, we can look at a cost per square foot number, and I can give you, I don't think we're gonna downsize at this stage, unless y'all tell us we have to. You know, it really comes down to how much money we have to spend. So, and y'all are in charge of money, so, that's for both projects.
You haven't, this is the original, or
Yes.
this, so the changes that we talked about.
We haven't made those yet, and that's kind of the way we left the meeting was, we need to meet tonight with y'all before we make a lot of changes, so that's kind of, that's where the floor plan sits, and I, to be honest with you, I have started on some of those changes, but I didn't bring it tonight, cause I wanted to make sure that you and council are.
That's all those things we have to get lined up before we can.
Yes, sir.
Actually make that commitment.
Yes, sir.
Council? We're open for discussion on anything pertaining to all we've got going on. I guess you all know that we closed Friday with the proud owners of, what, 3.5 acres?
Did an email go out about that?
No.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
I didn't know that. I mean, how would we know that?
I just told you.
So we guess we knew, so.
Well, I don't thought you figured it. I
We
didn't send
announced
an
the
email.
council a couple weeks ago.
So,
So I have a question about, the city hall site. Have we factored in the cost or what's gonna happen to tear down that old work house and get all that ready?
Part of the site for it.
That's been-
I worked
We
on it
discussed it
today,
today.
and I think that's something, I've talked to Clint, and we've got the equipment, and I think we can do it ourselves. We had to pay for the dumpsters to haul it to the proper place to be disposed of, but probably in the neighborhood of $2,000 dumpsters cost. I think we can do it through Public Works. That's not counting their labor and all, but, you know, they're here, so.
They're cheaper,
Yeah, about
cheaper doing it there
$450.
than hire a contractor to do it.
Right.
$450 a dumpster, and I had some people look at it, and it's done some, and they're saying maybe 4 to 5 dumpsters if you pack it in there good, so.
Is there any asbestos material in that house?
I don't think so, but we'll have it looked at.
Cause obviously that would drive the cost up. Then we'd have to get a contractor.
That was a
to
little
take care of it.
pre-asbestos period there. You know, it was more around the 50s, 60s, and that house was pre that era. So I think it's all pretty much just wood and plaster. That's all a contractor's gonna do is just take a track home, tear it down, stuff in the dumpster, haul it to private parkwood. But we could do that, garage and go ahead, cause this has been bigger people that's lived in it, Mother Osmonds have had it, and they tried to keep them out, they keep getting back in there, and they've called them in there a few times.
Questions, anyone? Okay.
This floor plan, Kelly, I guess y'all studied on it pretty good to.
This is
to
this
where,
was done with
you
the
know,
feasibility
20
study.
years from now, we're not adding on to it.
This was done with the feasibility study. There's several different changes with the mayor, and Jason and I went over. The department heads still wanna have some more input on it. There's still some things that we have to get worked out. So we're not worried as much about the floor plan right now. because that'll kinda come with time after we get a budget set.
I think that's part of helping us make that decision.
Well, Chief Walker can tell you that Sevierville built a fire hall, how long ago was it?
Last year.
Last year, and they spent about $300 a square foot on their construction.
No, we're not gonna have copper gutters and all
But
that.
that's not the building, just the building. You're talking about, that's pavement.
I mean, that's turnkey.
That's backup generators.
Yeah.
That's the exhaust system that has to go in on the trucks.
But I mean, that's a
Detention.
turnkey project. Yeah.
In a class last week that some of our people here in the county attended, the nationwide average, or this is nationwide, is 350 foot.
A square foot.
But that's nationwide, that's high construction, low construction and everything. But I feel confident that Josh can design a building, and we can build one for a lot cheaper than that. But, you know, I want you to be aware, there's other things, you know, we don't want generator backups and things like that, you know, and save money, but I think we ought to go ahead and wire it for, if we do get it later or whatever.
And we have talked to USDA, that was, we had a big meeting with, Rick and USDA and Chief and Clint, me, Gail, a couple weeks ago, and we talked about funding options, and one of the things that we talked about was USDA has some grant money where they won't necessarily pay for building the building, cause it wraps the money up too long, with it being an asset, and us having to drag out the payment, but they might could give us some money towards a generator or, an air
Upgrades.
unit, something like that.
And we design and build the building to accept those things later on down the road. We just finished up a fire station.
Me personally, I don't wanna spend $3 million and then 5 years down the road, I have to spend $200,000 to put a generator in.
That's right.
You know, if we're gonna do it right now on the front end and be done with it.
Right.
That's just my personal opinion.
Well, we learned in '94, I mean, after the ice storm, and several times we had been without electricity here. You don't want your first responders and your government being without electricity during times of need.
Sure.
Just creates a need for those people.
And, you know, maybe we got natural gas available down here, so you ain't out there with a gas jug filling that generator. But I think it'd be hard for us to set a budget when we don't have anything to look at.
Well, go ahead.
Sorry, the floor plan you're looking at right now is 15,000 square feet
For City Hall.
City Hall.
for City Hall. And it would be about the same for the fire hall. So you're looking at 30,000 square feet total in the initial design phase, the feasibility study that we did, that's what came back. And then if you multiply that by $300 a square foot, which is kind of what we were just going with, because we don't know until we take it out to bid, you're looking at $7 million for both projects.
And that's buildings and site work.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
What about the detention pond? We had talked about that a little bit.
I think I might have a picture of the,
So what we talked about is a couple different things with the detention pond, and kind of what we've discussed is having a minimum of 10 parking spaces out in front of the building that would include ADA compliant parking. And the detention pond out front with a signage out at Main Street that would point people, hey, this is City Hall, this is the way you come in, this is the way you go out.
now it's changed a little bit from that meeting, talking about doing the parking up front, but this is just what our engineer gave us to show us that it would fit on the property and show us where he could have detention areas.
And I know we just finished talking about money, but something that Mayor has brought up is some sort of water feature out front at that detention pond possibly. And that is not an expensive proposition, and it would look nice. So it would be, we would still be taking care of our environmental requirements, but doing something that looks nice out front too. So that's a very inexpensive way to make a detention pond not look like a detention pond, so.
we're talking about wood frame construction, trusses, you know, that we can buy here in town. Possibly, you know, I guess metal roofs or shingle, whichever way we need to go, but, you know, the construction type we're going with and everything is probably the cheapest for the, Josh is, you know, talked at 2x6 wall studs, and the fire hall would be block as far as the bays with possibly bar joists. He's talked me into going with a slanted, not a flat roof, but a slanted roof instead of going with a gable, and we can save some money there, so we've been talking about,
And both buildings would be fully sprinklered, obviously, so what that does code-wise is it allows us, it basically, it will allow us to triple the amount of square footage, with a wood frame building. So if we do have the requirement to be sprinklered in the city, so to me, it's a no-brainer, that's the most cost-effective way to get us the square footage that we need. And to do something, we're thinking brick, possibly some, stone. You know, we do have a precast plant in Ashland City that I would like to talk to, if mayor and council is okay with that, about possibly doing some of the architectural features out of cast stone, so. Doing it as beautiful as we can, but as inexpensively as we can.
I've got a question, Kelly, if you could zoom in on the telecom room, cause everybody forgets about this. I mean, how many servers are you gonna have in there, and all the data jack's gonna be coming back to that room, one room?
There were probably, a building this size, there'll be one bigger room, but probably one or two smaller rooms on each end of the building. We just haven't gotten that far in the design.
Is that where you're talking about, Lisa?
and I think our servers are fixing to go down in numbers, because we're having our IT audit this week, and our new IT person, and I think we've already determined that we can downsize server-wise to very minimum, maybe just 2. So, but you know, and I'd say we shouldn't get lost in each room, but we just kinda need a square footage, and then we can all come together and decide how that square footage needs to cut up. I mean, I think Josh just needs he needs to have a
Once we get
square.
going, that'd be more for our IT guy to decide on the.
Right,
yeah.
we can always
Lay that out.
change that, but he's gotta know what square footage he's got to work with before he can start cutting up rooms or taking out rooms or.
And what about are you gonna have any audio visual in the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Where will it be? I mean, it's gonna come from the ceiling?
Well, part of our fee will be, we'll have somebody that, a professional, sound professional, probably, corner street music in Nashville, corner music, that's who we usually deal with.
And that's extra cost?
It's not design wise, that will be included in the drawings,
Mhm.
and so when it goes out to bid, that will be part of.
Whoever the general contractor whoever gets awarded it, the general contractor, they have subcontractors that bid the project with them as well.
Right.
All that'll be in
Well,
one
I mean,
cost.
I don't wanna spend all of our money on this building and we're not
Oh, not
able
have
to
anything
afford
inside of it.
anything
And
for
that's what we're
technology.
talking about, the square footage cost. When I say $300 square foot or in a higher range, I mean, that's including everything. That's
That's all
what these
your
people
electrical and plumbing,
have
that's
told
your
us in
city.
other cities. The time you furnish it, the
Yeah.
time you lock and key and you're ready to operate.
Turnkey.
That's- Now, to build the building, yes, we can build it for a lot cheaper than that, but,
I think maybe that, I don't know, maybe help everybody, if we had a rendering or something, to where we can actually see what it's gonna look, possibility, see what it's gonna look like.
We can do that.
You know, before we say, yeah, we'll spend $4.5, $5 million on this project, you know.
And we've already started on that, so that's not, the fire hall is quite a bit further along than the city hall. We can get that. no
'Cause
problem.
I personally don't think you're gonna get a budget number from us tonight. I mean, I'm not yet.
yeah, well, I mean,
And-
think about it.
Yeah, and that's okay, because we can still be designing to get to it. What I don't wanna do And I just don't do it I don't want it to go out to bid knowing that it's gonna cost more than
Sure.
the money we have to spend. And then we're gonna have to cut. And I'll give you this example real quick. Another municipality up in Kentucky, we did a fire hall for them. We had to cut the building in half, take all the brick off the sides and the back.
Build on a pole barn.
They've got a pre-engineered metal building, and they've got brick on the front. Now, here's the good thing, it hasn't been finished for a year, and they've already got the money to do the addition on the back. So, we did design it to where they could do that. I prefer that we don't do that here. I'd like to.
No, I agree. I mean,
Get
it's
y'all-
feasible, let's do it on the front end.
Yeah. It's something that mayor and chief have brought up a lot is, when we build these two buildings, we're out of here, you know, and we gotta make sure we've got all the space for you guys to provide the services that you need to.
Now, when we built Station 2, we did a contractor at risk or not at risk. Basically, you can explain, I've forgotten 12 years ago, 14 years ago, however long it's been, but the city bid each trade. Like, we bid the block work, we bid the electrical work, we bid everything, the city, we had a bid opening in here, so we bid each trade. American Constructors was the GC, but they basically just overseen.
They were just a project, they were a project manager.
Project manager, yeah, okay. So, you know, that's something, I don't know which way is best way to go, but, I mean, it worked good for Station 2. We bid each trade out, separately here at the city, and it seemed like, you know, to me, it looks like you would probably get better prices if you did each trade individually instead of one lump. And then hire somebody to be a project manager.
I say we get the fire hall render, if you got some renderings or something, you can get
Well,
those done, bring them.
I've got a model of the fire hall that we brought before. I can take that a little bit further. That's okay, that's all right. But we'll do the same thing for City Hall.
I mean, would that help you guys better? I mean, see what we're.
Mhm. Yeah. And probably by that time, we'll have the floor plan changes for the City Hall too, I would think, so that's not a problem.
And half of the 15,000 square foot for the fire hall's gonna be the base.
The Bay Area,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, you're not talking about 15,000.
Finished space.
Right, it's gonna be a block with concrete. We would like to put a ceiling in it and fans, just to keep it. That way we don't get away, well, we won't have an attic, we try to get away from the attic, so we don't have to sprinkle all that in the dry system.
And keep in mind too, we're gonna have enough space for 8 apparatus.
What about conditioned air? Would you conditioned air out there in your days?
What?
Conditioned air?
Not in the bays.
No?
I don't think we really, I mean, that to me, Pleasant View currently did some, in theirs, and they're only gonna use it like when they train, because they don't have a training room. So what they're gonna do is partition off some of their bays and turn on the air where they can use the bays for training. In our design, we've got a training room for about 30 people, but what we talked about doing, and it's something I think is gonna be useful, I wish we'd done it in Station 2, is we're gonna put the training room up front and have a door going in the foyer or the lobby going into it, so the public can use it for like meetings, whatever. They don't have to go into the fire hall where the firefighters are at or whatever. We can let the public use it for meetings and stuff like that, or birthday parties or whatever. It'll be like a community room / training. And it'll seat probably 30 to 40 people. And then we'll put the audio visual stuff in there and everything, so. But we won't have to use the courtroom for training, like we do now.
Good.
All right, thank y'all very much.
Any questions, Council?
Thank you.
What y'all want to do? Just wait, until we get some more concrete?
Well, do you think we need
plans?
I'm just asking, do you think we're in the right neighborhood as far as square footage, or do you think we need to, I mean, I'm not saying we're designing every square foot, but we need to know, I guess, if we're in the right neighborhood of square footage, in y'all's opinion.
I think we are. I mean, you talk to all the department heads for City Hall, seems like everybody's had their input, or at least some input. And of course, with you at the fire hall, you've learned from Station 2 what you want to improve upon. So, I mean, I don't see anything big with the size, as long as the cost isn't just outrageous. I think we can work with it.
Well, that helps us, so we know what to bring back to you.
Yeah, like I said, I just wanna be sure, 20 years from now, we're going through this again. Yeah, oh, we need to add on 10,000 square feet,
You couldn't predict that. I mean, what if Ashland City triple in size?
Well, we got bluffs in our river, we can't grow that much more.
They take them down now.
They're already building those skinny houses anyways.
Yeah.
Well, just real quick, both buildings will be designed, so it'll be easy to add on if we have to. I don't want to either, but we'll be able to. And we're not ruling out yet, as far as City Hall, with going up a story, up a floor, to where it's a 2-level City Hall. That does add cost with elevator and egress, stairs. But if, let's say we went up on phase 1, that would give us more footprint to add later on if we wanted to. So at this stage, we could still look at that, and that might be a possibility for us, to make sure that, because when you say rivers and bluffs, I get it, man, I ride that bike trail all the time. We don't have a lot of buildable space left, so we gotta be very, very good with what we got, so. We'll
I
definitely.
mean, that'd be kind of something you need to know in the design phase, so you could, for the structural engineer to
Yep.
prep the building accordingly.
Right, that's right. We've already been thinking in terms of structure with the current City Hall floor plan, and we've got a pretty good scheme, so we just wanna make sure that square footage wise, we're okay, and I think I'm hearing tonight that we're okay square footage wise. We can take the design a little bit further and show that to y'all and kinda get your feedback on that. I think that's a great road, great path to be on.
It's up to department heads and the mayor to decide if we got enough square footage. I think it's our job to decide if we can afford it. Because they're the ones that are working it every day.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I think if we don't put the second floor on right now, we need to build the foundation to where it can handle the second floor
Yes, ma'am.
if it's needed in the future.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
You would have to, do the elevator and everything now, or can it be done later?
We can design a building to where elevator shaft and stairs can be added on later. We can do that.
Okay.
We sure can.
Just don't put the telecom room in it like they did at the public library.
Right.
The elevator shaft at the public library has got all the telecom into it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done that yet, so hopefully we won't do that.
Gosh, Rick, at which point do we start, looking at what we can afford and we start, sending back loans and all the finished, the fire hall, we have to have a plan before they can be, we can't do like go ahead and apply for a loan in advance. They have to have.
Just like when you build a house,
You gotta have plans.
You gotta have drawings and everything else.
So we need to
And what I
go
would
ahead with those
recommend,
drawings as fast as possible.
Yes, sir.
I think what we would recommend you do is determine what the costs are, maybe even take your bids before you actually do the financing. You don't wanna give, it's okay to give the architect a target, but you don't wanna give the contractors a target.
That's correct.
And if they take, you run the risk of contractors saying, well, they're just shopping for a number to see if they can afford it.
That's right. Well, The other side of that is, you know what your bids are, you know what you can value engineer out of it or into it. And then once you got your bogey, then you go borrow the money. We could get the money for you in 30 to 45 days, depending on need dates, holidays, that sort of thing. Fairly quick process. I think maybe we shared at the workshop the other day a little outline of the steps in the process. I have some of those sheets here if you would want to share those. Just the little calendars, just shows the steps in the borrowing process. I think we put it over the next several months, but it's just that pretty much conforms to Tennessee state law, whether it be RDA or conventional financing. The RDA process is a little longer than that, because they have environmental issues that they have to address, and some other types of things like that add to their time frame. We don't have those issues to deal with. Obviously, we don't want you to build on a Indian mound, but the other side of that is we don't have to worry about that from a financing perspective like RDA does. So that just sort of lays out the high steps in the process, so you get an idea sort of how long it takes. But think 30 or 45 days, you say get go to the end. As I say, I think if you have the bids in hand, you know what your numbers are gonna be, that's when we go borrow the money rather than the other way around.
How long is it gonna be for you to get some drawings?
Y'all are, you must be twins or something. So basically what we'll do then is we will set up, I've got the meeting set up with Chief. We'll set up a meeting,
Is that with all, Chief, excuse me, is all the department heads going to attend that as well? All the department heads?
Not for the fire.
That's for the
all
fire.
okay.
So for City Hall, that's our next step, set up a meeting, and we've met with a lot of the department heads already. But just as expeditiously as we can, meet with them one more time, show them the floor plan that we've basically revised already, and make sure they're on board. Next step is that's the programming phase. Schematic design is next, and that's when we show you finished renderings. This is what we think it's gonna look like. Y'all sign off on that. Then we go to design development and construction documents. After we get the construction documents done, then we go to bidding, put it out there to bid. So without looking at a calendar and talking to consultants, because, you know, if y'all looked at our contract, it's not just me, there's 6 other guys and gals. So I need to get with them tomorrow and say, okay, guys, the council has said we need to design ASAP. I need to meet with, what is tomorrow, Wednesday? I need to meet with you first thing Monday, and let's give them a schedule of when we can be done. Typically, on a project of this size, it's gonna take myself, meeting with department heads on City Hall, meeting with Chief and whoever else from his department, several meetings, several weeks. Once that's done, construction documents, that's the phase, it's gonna take about 2.5 months. So after we get construction documents done, we go out to bid. Typically, we're gonna give a contractor 30 days to bid. It has to be publicly bid, I'm assuming, because we are a city entity. So I'll conduct that, we'll have a bid opening, anybody can come to the bid opening. After that, we ask them to leave, and then we all get to talk about the bids. So to get you to that point, I need to talk to my consultants, but next meeting I could get you, I'll get you.
So I don't expect any, I know it's probably about 6 months out before we get started.
I'd like to get it quicker, but there's a lot of variables there.
Oh,
So,
sure, yes, sir, I understand
yeah.
that.
Spring is a very real, expectation. I mean, I think we can do that no problem. March.
So, Mayor, would you remind us what the county mayor said about this property?
Oh, yeah, they said,
I'm gonna spray
me see, I think they're in the stages, they're down to 3 architects they're fixing to, decide on. And you probably know more about this, and, but that's what he said, and so I think just as soon as they pick one there, then he'll be ready to do what he needs to do.
Now, in order to tear the Murph house down, since we own it now, do we have to go through the process of surplus in the house?
I would think we would, I'd have to ask that question, but I would think so, cause it has value.
Yeah, it's not very much, I mean, it's condemnable, I mean, the floors are rotten, the roof's falling in.
We can just do one next month, council.
All they need to do, folks, is they're in favor of surplus and tearing it down, so. We're not getting rid of it, we're selling it. Well, I guess we are getting rid of it.
Okay. We are working, to try to make sure that, we can afford all this work, and I think everything's looking pretty good for us. I hope so.
I would say that. Mr. Really nervous.
Don't be nervous, we're okay. Council have anything else you wanna talk about?
I've got one thing. It was brought to my attention, and I noticed it also online. Cheatham County Exchange ran an article with events that the city's doing, and one of them mentioned the Braxton Lee Under the Trees dinner. We don't have anything to do with that as a city, do we?
No.
No.
Okay, well, why was it mentioned in an event committee meeting? And
It
why were
wasn't
they
an
there?
event committee meeting, it was a media day. And since it's part of the history of Ashland City, they decided to have their event on September 14th as part of the history of the city.
Okay, well, the way it appears is not a good look for the city. It looks like we're sponsoring
Well,
their
the
event.
way it appears for their event is not a good look for the city either. It's not the city. Janet and Candace's.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking
I know.
about the one that we just had an
But there's
article that looks
questions
that
all the way around about that.
What's the
event.
question with theirs?
Well, it's been promoted as the city's first farm to table event. It's
It
not the
says-
city's first farm to table event.
I haven't seen it promoted the way it's promoted as the Ashland City Farm to Table event. It would be the same as me saying, this is Ashland City's dentistry office. I don't see an issue with that. They didn't use any of our official.
We didn't use any of our official
No, I'm just saying
logos or
they did.
anything for the Braxton League.
Okay, well, it looks bad.
If you know the history of Ashland City, it does not look bad.
Well-
We're promoting 160 years of history.
Okay, yes, the city is.
Yes.
Braxton Lee's not. You're including that as part
Yes,
of it, you're
Braxton
saying
Lee
they're tied
is.
together. But Braxton Lee's not part of our event,
Braxton Lee, they're having that in,
the day before.
well, with the celebration of the
And if anybody
celebration for
would
the
like
city.
to attend the events committee meetings and hear the discussions, you're welcome to.
Okay, that's fine. The way it looked on there, it says at an event committee meeting, is what the article says.
Well, the exchange misquoted
So-
two other things in
And
that
that's the other
article.
question that I have is, it says that the net proceeds will go towards the cemetery and the Cheatham County Historical.
That's the Forest Hill,
Okay.
event,
That's a
which
private
is being
cemetery.
rolled in just like the Braxton Lee event.
Okay, so
It's
that's
his-
separate also.
Yeah,
So the only thing that we have for the 160 is
at Riverboat.
at Riverboat, that's it. Okay, and then there's just no clarification. So like I said, when you look at it, it looks like we're promoting all this stuff
Could it
together.
have been the way
at
the
the
editor put
events.
it in the post? I don't get the
Oh,
post.
it could be, but it's just not a good look. And I'm not bad mouthing what Braxton Lee's doing, I'm not bad mouthing what Candace is doing. I'm just saying,
Well, I see what you're saying, if we're
That
going,
if it looks like we're promoting Braxton Lee, if we're not, we're not, but it needs some
We're promoting the
clarification.
history of the city, yeah.
That's not the way it looks though.
But that place up there is a historical marker for the city of Ashland City, and why would the city not promote it some?
Because that's a private foundation that's up there. Same thing, they would have to go through the same process that Candace would have had to go through to get the city to endorse it. It has to come before us and say yes or no, we want to be involved. Correct? That's what we were asking her to do.
I don't understand.
We asked her to come before council if we would be part of that event for Candace, for the farm to table, which benefits the city.
But the
people of
city wouldn't be involved in that event. The city's in no way involved in the Braxton Lee event.
I
But
think
you're tying it together.
But what he's saying, I'm assuming the way the article reads, that's what it appears.
Yes.
So maybe somebody calls the editor and says, hey,
Yeah, that's why my question,
You don't
maybe,
write
maybe
this
the
way.
editor.
Yeah, because it says it's at an
Read it.
event committee meeting, and then you clarified, it's not.
No, it was an event, a media day.
Okay.
There was no event, there was only like 3 event committee people there.
Okay, we need to get a note to the post. Did you say the post or the?
No, the exchange.
The Chief County Exchange, okay. Get that looked at, I mean, I like all the events that's happening,
Like I said, I mean, I think that it's good to have all these different events, that's
Yes.
good. But when there's confusion between
different parties.
different parties and what's going on, who's involved with the city, who's not involved with the city. I mean, I understand where your concern is with it saying Ashland City Farm to Table, but we don't own the rights to the name Ashland City.
Yeah, it's no different than
Candace
Ashland
asked
City
for-
Fitness, right?
Right. I mean,
Candace asked for the floor to say something, so.
No, just because the attitude that you gave just then, whenever he even brought it up, saying that it's a bad look for me. 70% of it is going to Meals on Wheels because there's a waiting list. The other 30% is going into a fund to start a community center, something that we desperately need for these children left behind. Am I the only person that thinks that? I mean,
we have a line item in our budget for a community center.
I don't think
because
she's talking about-
I've applied for a 501(c) myself
she's
to
not
start
talking about
one.
the city funded communities.
I'm not asking, I never asked the city to do anything for the farm to table dinner. And it is Ashland City's first farm to table dinner on the courthouse lawn, which is county property and has nothing to do with the city either way. But it's from since day one, since I left here, that first time I brought it up here, it's been nothing but trouble. You would think that somebody that's trying to feed elderly and feed kids and do things for them, that I would have more support, but I don't. Every time I turn around, she's got something to say that I'm doing this event just because I'm running against her, when I haven't even turned in a petition.
Ms. Beasley, I would like you to show me where I've said that.
You said it right here in this room. So if it's
No, I
recorded,
have-
we'll
I
go
have
back to the next
no
meeting and
problem with
we'll
your
pull up the
event.
audio from it.
I have no problem with your event.
It's the way you just said it. It says it looks bad. It says Ashland City. It doesn't say the town of Ashland City. It simply says Ashland
I've
City's
gotten
first
several
farm to table
calls
dinner
about
on the
town of
courthouse
Ashland
lawn.
City holding this event, and I have to tell them, the town of Ashland City is not holding
It's
this event.
it's the other things you add on when you're saying that to them.
I'm sorry.
I mean, the way you come off and
My,
everything, it seems.
brain
Oh.
is old.
Well, maybe it's time for things to change and be new then, because this
No,
isn't
we're
working
not-
out.
We're not gonna go there. It's just-
Well, we should, because it's not right that I constantly get stabs and digs and bad things said about me when I don't bother anyone. I work 86 hours a week and I go home and I don't bother anyone. I do my stuff. But you would think that somebody that's constantly going out of their way to try to help and improve things, that I would just get a little more support. And if you can't support me, at least just keep your mouth shut about it. You know, I mean, that seems just awful simple to me. I just don't understand it. I mean, it seems like a good thing to me. It don't seem like it's a bad thing or puts a bad taste in someone's mouth what I'm trying to put together in October. It's for a purpose.
Well, Candace, I talked to Lisa quite a bit, and she never has said anything to me about you,
Honey, I have no idea.
cause I don't gossip about people.
I don't gossip about people either. If I have a problem with someone, I go to them and I talk to them about it, or I just keep my mouth shut and I don't say anything at all.
Well,
But I just think that this is why no one gets involved. This is why this room stays empty. It's the truth. Go out there and talk to your people. They'll tell you. They feel like they get nowhere or they're not paid attention to and nobody listens to them and that their voice doesn't matter. That's why nobody wants to do anything, because every time you turn around and try to do something good in this town, something happens. You have to deal with a rap. You have to deal with being stabbed in the back. You have to people thinking that you're out on an agenda. I don't make any money. I don't make any money doing any of this stuff. At all. I lose money. I'd be sitting pretty right now if I could have back every dollar I've gave away and everything I've done. But I just keep doing it anyway. And then I ask myself why. Because I always catch grief from it. And I don't understand. You think people would be more supportive and just be happy. And that's my point. It was when he said that just then and the way you reacted, it just blows my mind and I don't even understand it. I don't get it at all. I'm just, all y'all sorry on
Okay.
Candace, come here.
You brought it up about, and I wondered that too, about the 30% for the community center. And so, I mean, I didn't know this, that she said that she was gonna start a 501c3.
She's already
Is that-
applied for
That's
it.
what she just said.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
She's already applied for it,
I
and
didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know
I
like
I
where
understand.
that money was gonna go to be earmarked for that. So I was
Yes.
just gonna ask her about that, so.
But yes, she's already applied for it, and they've already set the bylaws up for it, so now they're in waiting. It's at the attorneys as far as I know. The funds have been opened up into a fundraiser account in my name, Kelly Reed's name.
Kelly's part of the city?
No, Kelly is not. It's Kelly Reed. Doesn't say the city of Ashland City. Doesn't say the town of Ashland City. She's a person outside of here. So-
I don't think she said she
She volunteered.
Because of the Meals to Wheels.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The account is not in my name, they just
They-
asked me to be a signer on checks as a secondary signer.
I see good in
I think it's a great idea.
It's very good, but it's got a bad stigma.
Where it was gonna go
Right.
to, like that, for that account.
Yeah.
Because that's something that's gonna be used over time and in the future.
Absolutely.
So,
You know, and I've gotten calls that says, "Where are you building it?" Well, nobody said anything about building one.
yeah.
You know, we're trying to start a foundation, to start a community fund. You know, and us as a community can fund it. We're not asking the city to do anything. It's not on anybody's budget. There's no line item for it. So she's simply trying to start something for the younger generation who has kids coming up in here. The kids have got to have something. I mean, all I ever hear about is the senior citizen center, and I understand. I get it. But we've got two totally separate ends of the spectrum here that we have to take care of. So somebody has to start something. So that's what she decided to do.
I have to make sure we
Well, I have another quick question, and Chuck just left, and.
No, you can't ask him a question, I just asked him.
Well, this isn't about this, but it's about something else, I mean, if I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
And I've had a few residents ask me, I know there's some people that are living in a camp or a tent.
Down here.
Yeah, down
I
here.
inquired to it, chief had looked into it.
Okay, I was gonna ask Chuck if he was.
That is private property, and
Okay.
they're fine.
And there's
I thought the
nothing-
same thing.
Well, there is ordinance against dwelling.
Dwelling,
So
but-
in there, we're trying to look at, are they living? They've got
Right.
generators, they got air conditioner. So they're gonna talk with Johnny.
Right.
tomorrow.
On the owner of the property?
Yes.
I mean, he gave them permission,
Okay.
so there's nothing you can do about him giving them permission to camp on the spot.
To camp though, not
But is that gonna be?
not to live there.
I mean, are they
What if
gonna
they
be
choose to
there
live in
for
the tent?
long term, for a year or two, or?
We'll get some
Okay,
clarification.
I mean, I'm just,
Yeah.
people have asked me in the community, and I told them that I
Yeah,
would
even my
ask
son
them
noticed
to
it, and
find
was like,
out.
"Why are those people there all the
Yeah.
time?"
Yeah.
We're looking into that.
Okay.
That's not the first time that's
Okay.
brought up, many times. Any other thing, council, you discuss anything? Okay. Do you wanna read?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.